Hey guys, Boozor here. Welcome back. In this video, we're just going to go through another Hydra run since reset was just happened. However, in this run, we're going to be looking at a Nightmare run, and we're going to showcase a champion that I don't see often, especially in higher tier, higher difficulty Hydras. So in this video, we're going to talk about um, Seeker. So Seeker really shines in this rotation because we do have the cleansing head right here, which can be provoked. So we're going to use Seeker for his provoke ability. And I mean, generally Seeker is just a really good champion. He boosts the turn meter of your whole team. He gives your whole team attack up. And occasionally he gives your team defense up when he gets hit with a crit. General tips, make sure you put Seeker near the front. So if you don't want to use him in the leader spot, use him in the second spot. So the way it works is it goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you want him in the 2 spot. This means that if Seeker gets hit with a crit first, the damage flows like this. All the champions behind will get the defense up before the damage flows to them. So if you put Seeker at the end, then your whole team takes the damage, and then Seeker gets the defense up. But your team would have taken the damage already. So just a tip there, in case you guys didn't know that. Um, so I also wanted to make a team that's a little bit more, I guess, accessible. I mean, we're doing Nightmare Hydra. Um, so I assume that you have certain champions. Definitely assume that you would have these epic champions. On this account, I don't have Geomancer. I know it's like a two, like a 20, like a 30-month-old account, and I don't have Geomancer. So yeah, rip, right? But I don't have them, so you could easily sub them out for one roll guard. Um, Ugo, I mean Ugo's almost irreplaceable in Hydra. She's probably like the top 1 or top 2 epic. Geomancer would probably be the first number 1 epic, and then she would probably be number 2. Although I would argue that she would be number 1 because this account does perfectly fine without Geomancer, but I think without Ugo, um, this account would be just awful, especially on Hydra, just because I don't have too many options for block buffing. Um, you could sub in somebody like Lydia, but then you would need if you sub in Lydia for Ugo, you would need maybe another block buff. Um, yeah, you'd have to juggle around the abilities a little bit, but Lydia would work. You would probably take out Merthrala for somebody else. Just the strength and overlaps. Don't really want that. I would assume you have Mithrala if you're doing Nightmare difficulty Hydra. So these 5 should be accessible to everybody. And Necmo is kind of like the champion that holds everything together. I was thinking about a replacement for Necmo, and there really just isn't. Like Necmo is just like a purpose-built Hydra champion. And considering it was like a guarantee sacred, 15 sacreds for this champion, like it's such a slam dunk. Like AoE attack down, AoE speed down, AoE speed up, turn meter up, and AoE leech with the speed aura. It's just an insanely stacked Hydra champion. If you don't have her, if you don't have Necmo, you probably can use like Mother Cybele kind of works. She has AoE speed down, some defensive ability, some defensive passive, and an aura. Very similar, but the leech is probably the one that will make you'll feel the big difference with like 2 roll guards, which only have like 700 base defense. So the 2 roll guards will fall down without leech or proper healing. Just the leech from Ugo is not enough. So you need somebody else, but you can also flex away from the roll guards if you have better options as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through like the first couple of turns of this run and be through to the end. Um, see, so yeah, so this is a mostly free-to-play friendly team, I would say. We're doing Nightmares, hardest difficulty in the game. hardest difficulty content, I think. But yeah, let's have a look at the run. We'll talk through it. So the most important thing here is to get the first rotation provoke on the cleansing head with Seeker. If Seeker fails, then you can just restart. The other thing is if Ugo fails the block buffs on anybody, you just restart. Ideally, you don't want any of them to fail because the roll guards will start slamming, big slams, so you want the defense down on everything. So in this run, we get everything to work out perfectly on the first run, which is good. It happens. Okay, neckbow doing stuff, big slams, big damage slams here. So generally you attack the weaker heads for more damage, so the poison head and the cleansing head, they just give more damage. And then for this team particularly, we don't hit the wrath head unless we really want to, deliberately want to. So what I mean by that is because our team is so squishy, we have to be a little bit more mindful about the timer on the wrath head. Because we don't want to get double slammed when we're not ready. And what I mean by that is this team doesn't run a reviver, it doesn't run like ally protection, it doesn't run overly defensive champions. So the only real defensive buff is from Mithrala. So what we're looking for is to have at least have this shield ready when the Wrath Head hits. So if the Wrath Head is close to the timer, we want to connect with the Wrath Head so that the Wrath Head hits when we want it to hit. And we want to avoid, we want to avoid a situation where he gets 2 hits in a row and then he would just wipe our team. Like I said, the roll guards only have 700 base defense, so they're really hard to keep alive. And they're kind of not viable in some rotations because they're so squishy. But this rotation being magic affinity friendly really helps. Yeah. But without a reviver, there's no real chance for mistake, and we're playing on the highest difficulty, nightmare difficulty, so. I don't play perfectly. Sometimes I get distracted and I hit the wrong head or I do the wrong ability, but I still like to play manual. I mean, it's not too hard to play once a week, you know. And lately my runs have been super consistent in terms of like my comps and getting them to run without much restarts. So right now we have a pretty good damage per turn. So I mean, this is a pretty high damage team, and we take a lot of turns with Necmo's turn meter speed up, and then Seeker's turn meter boost. We take a lot of turns relative to the Hydras. So this is like one strategy you can have. You can have like a more glass cannon team, high damage, less defensive, no reviver, but then you take a ton of turns, and then you just start lapping the Hydras, doing big damage, getting back to your abilities. That works too. Okay, so I think, yeah, you want to have block buffs up against for both these heads, the Suffering and the Wrath Head, just because the reflect damage with the 2 roll guards. And you have to be careful not to slam when the reflect damage is up, because they instantly kill the roll guards. So that's something to be aware of. Even if you have shields up, defense up, you don't want to do the slam. You definitely will die. Okay, I will let you guys watch this. I'm going to speed it up, and we'll see you guys at the end of the run. All right. So 73.8 million on Nightmare difficulty with this team. Really, really good run. When you saw like when the Torment head pops up, basically when the Torment head pops up, this team just loses a lot of damage per turns. It slows it down quite a bit. It doesn't mean that this team will fail. It just will have a harder time dealing with Torment. Um, so Torment did pop up quite a bit in this run, but so did the Cleansing Head, and that really allowed Seeker to shine with the provokes. So Seeker really kept this run under control with the provokes. Just consistent provoker, A1s. We have a lot of turn meter on this team, so he sometimes gets 2 attacks, or the Hydra gets 1 attack. So really, really strong. Necmo doing 7.25 damage, mostly from Brimstone, but he has the AoEs, so they do a little bit of damage with War Master. Seeker just has War Master, so he's not going to do too much damage. Both Roll Guards doing the big slams, 25 million each. Really, really good. Mithrala, Brimstone damage, Poison damage, Hex damage. Mithrala actually does like a mid-tier amount of damage, so definitely she's good for a little bit of damage as well. As well as her protection and her cleansing. So she's really really good champion. Ugo mostly from War Master. Yeah, so that's going to be the team. We can go through some of the champion builds here. Grab this guy. All right, so go through some of the champion builds. Okay, so this is the Mithrala that I was using. She's my arena Mithrala. In 4P Stone Skin. Fast enough to play in Hydra, 80,000 KHP, decent defense, and then enough resistance and accuracy to do everything in PvE. Like I said, the stats are a bit high just because it's one of my arena champions. No War Master, so no War Master. But it definitely doesn't have to be like in Stone Skin. She can be in like pure perception, less stats, slower. I like her a little bit fast because I have a specific team I run her in for arena. That's Mithrala. Necmo, insane champion. I mean, especially for Hydra. Like I said, the kit is tailored for Hydra, so really really strong champion. He's actually in a provoke set. He doesn't need to be in a provoke set. He can be in like broken set or relentless is pretty good for him. But yeah, his provoke wasn't as consistent. So definitely Seeker was the reason why the cleansing head was kept under control. Not the best provoke set, but just make him fast, good accuracy, and relatively decent defense and HP stats so he can stay alive. Nothing too insane. He's pretty easy to build. Just need to hit the accuracy. Ugo. Ugo is in Relentless, so I do give Ugo some decent gear just because I use him in the highest level content. So good Relentless, good HP, make her fast, and good accuracy to cover Nightmare Hydra. 400 is what you need for all situations. 400, 420 about there. 350 you can get away with, even like 330 you can get away with. But you start getting some resist if the Suffering Head is in the rotation. Refresh Accessory is really good, and Relentless is just really good for extra turns for the block buff ability. For Ugo, if you guys didn't know, make sure you guys always take Sniper, so she gets the extra 5%. Because if you don't take the extra 5%, the block buff ability is only going to be 95%. It's kind of weird. Yeah. Block buff. Yeah, so this is only 20, 40, 45, plus 50, so 95. Yeah, it's kind of a like she gets 95 in some situations. So it's a little bit anyways, yeah, so that's Ugo. Run 2 roll guards. Both of them are geared kind of similarly. This one is my Nightmare roll guard. About 50k HP. The attack is not super relevant. I try to give him as much defense as I could. Make them fast, 100% crit, decent crit damage. They can be about 230, 225 crit damage. Doesn't have to be this high. And I gave him a bit of accuracy so he can land some stuff sometimes. Defense down and speed down are really good debuffs. So I give him a little bit just because we had room on the stats. Refresh accessory if you have it. And yeah, that's my roll guard. This is my second roll guard. I use mostly for brutal, so stats are probably a little bit worse. Relentless gear, I don't have refresh because I just don't have it. Yeah, a little bit, about 50k HP, make him fast, 100% crit rate, like 225 crit damage, which is fine. And I have less accuracy on this one because I usually use it on brutal. Yeah. And the star of the show is Seeker. So this is my Seeker Guardian gear. Gives it a bit of a heal. Gives it a bit of heal, and then also helps the team out a little bit with the 10% damage reduction. So it kind of helps. I don't know if you don't have to use Guardian. You can use Relentless. You can use Broken Set. It's just what I had, and it works. My Guardian gear is not super good, but it's okay. 56k HP. He's kind of low base stats, so getting the HP up is really hard. I have good defense on him, so I think if I shave off some defense, I can bring him up over 60k, which is still good. Decent speed, could be faster, but this one works. Surprisingly high crit rate. I guess my Guardian gear has some decent damage stats. And accuracy is just enough to land it. Like I said, you want about 400 accuracy. 350 is enough without suffering, but in this rotation, it had suffering, so it might not land all the time super consistently, so you want a little bit more accuracy if you can for Nightmare. War Master on him. No Blessing. And yeah, so that's the team. I mean, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave some in the comments below. But I feel like, for a Nightmare team, for the champions that are involved, you're not gonna get too much better than a 70 mil team with these champions. I mean, this rotation really works to its advantage, but these champions are pretty accessible. So, the gear, you can dial down some of the gear a little bit. Like obviously some like Mithral doesn't need like 80k HP. Ugo doesn't need like 70k HP. Like against Nightmare, you don't like Ugo was never close to dying. Only the roll guards would be in danger of dying, and obviously the Seeker, because the Seeker was taking a bit of damage from the ally protection from the Guardian set. I do overgear my champions sometimes because I don't have a good team reviver on this account. Like I don't have a Duchess. This is my other free to play account. It's also very well progressed, but I don't have like a Duchess, and I don't have any good revivers, so I usually run without. So my champs are a bit overgeared to survive without a reviver, but you can definitely run with less stats, but mainly you want to hit the accuracy and you want your champs to be a bit fast. If you're running like 200 speed champions, you probably don't have enough gear to do Nightmare, but this team works perfectly fine against Brutal as well. So yeah. Anyways, if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys hit the comments. If you guys like the content, hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'm gonna be uploading some more daily stuff. It's gonna be what I do in Raid on a daily basis. We have a fusion coming up, so we'll get into that. And yeah, yeah, have a good one. See you guys in the next one.